Aloha, I'm Terry Lilly, a marine biologist here in the Hawaiian Islands. I hope you enjoy my film. Tunnels Reef on the north shore of Kauai is a magical spot. It's a sunken volcano, and you can scuba dive and snorkel right in the inside of this volcano called the caldera. The reefs at Tunnels are carved by the big winter surf coming into the inside of the sunken volcano and then going back out through a channel, cutting a deep cliff that's up to 50 feet tall. I've been scuba diving this area for over 15 years, and there used to be a lot of coral that covered the entire reef out here at Tunnels. On this video, I'm going under the deep channel to the outer reef. The rocks here in the middle of the channel at one time were covered with rice corals. Now there's only a few left, and a lot of them are infected with this cyanobacterial disease. These beautiful rice corals growing on the outer part of the reef are hanging on the wall, and some of them are still quite healthy. But over 50% of the rice corals out at Tunnels have died over the last 3 years due to this cyanobacterial coral disease. What is worrisome now is the big old growth mound corals that sit up on top of the reef at Tunnels are starting to die and get covered with algae. That's the dark brown spots and blotches on top of the beautiful golden corals. Some of these corals out at Tunnels are 500 years old or older. There's this beautiful plate coral. This one I've actually visited many times over the last 15 years and probably have shot at least 50 hours of video of this gigantic coral. It's about 20 feet across and about 10 feet tall, but as you can see, now it's become infected with algae and bacteria and is dying rapidly. This is really a sad sight because this coral is more than likely thousands of years old. The coral used to be filled with these young yellow tangs. At one time I counted 50 of them on this one gigantic coral. But the other day when I took this video, there was only one left. Out at Tunnels Reef, we're having a massive coral die-off, even way out in the distance, where you can see the waves breaking. This part of the reef here is an important turtle cleaning station, and you can see the big mound corals are getting covered up with algae and bacteria and dying. This is the same famous location where Bethany Hamilton accidentally got her arm bit off by a tiger shark that was chasing a sea turtle. These beautiful old-growth corals perch right up on top of the cliff as if they're looking out to sea. Almost 50% of them now are dying rapidly from this bacterial disease and also an algae infection. I have worked out at this spot at Tunnels with the USGS, University of Hawaii, and NOAA, and they've done some studies that are showing that these big corals have their immune system compromised. Something is causing these big corals to get sick, and the bacteria and algae take them over. We really need to do a lot of studies out here at Tunnels before all of these corals have perished, so hopefully some will be left alive to repopulate the reef. The other thing out here is these beautiful corals are viewed by thousands and thousands of scuba divers. This is an important summertime commercial dive site. And if we lose all these big beautiful corals, that's going to impact the tourist community here in Kauai. Here you can see a hawkfish sitting up on top of one of the big lobe corals. These corals should all be a beautiful golden brown color without any dark brown markings on them. Here's one that's really one of the prettiest ones out on the outside reef at Tunnels. This coral is about 5 foot across and 3 foot tall. But as you can see, a lot of the corals here have died and are covered with mud or algae. And we really need to do a major study at Tunnels Reef to find out what's weakening the reef and allowing some of these old growth corals to perish. We have some ideas at this point in time what may be damaging the reef and may be damaging these corals. We know the Navy is doing a lot of testing in the area with sonic underwater blasting technology, and we know that that affects in a negative way whales, dolphins, and seals. I also fully believe that it's affecting the coral reef, but we need to do some studies to find out for sure. Here's spearfishing and catching a big roy, a peacock grouper. They're an invasive species, and we're trying to get them off the reef at Tunnels. The corals out at Tunnels house thousands of fish and marine life, like these little Dacilus fish. And as the corals start to perish, then the fish no longer have a place to live. These rice corals also are food to a number of different butterfly fish. But you can see coming back over the channel at about 50 feet deep, almost all the rice corals have died. Now there's just a bunch of big round rocks sitting on the bottom of the channel. Here the little Dacilus fish are all trying to cram into one little coral head to hide. Tunnels, once again, is one of the most beautiful places on Earth. Its Hawaiian name is Makua, and we should start protecting it a little bit better and finding out what's killing the corals.